Right, morning, morning. Welcome all. Yet another Friday. Yes, they seem to happen on a fairly regular basis, but that may just be down to your mindset. I don't know. But how you look at things? Mindset, Lee. What is mindset? Yeah, we've spoken about it bits and pieces here and there. Is it different to attitude? Is it not different to attitude? How does mindset work? How do you develop it? How do you change it? So over to you, Lee.
Thank you. So I had to actually do a little bit of research because I was getting myself going round and round in circles between these two words. And so whether it's official or not, it seems as if mindset they describe mindset as a set of attitudes. So mindset is basically so it is what it is, it's set. It doesn't mean that so I'll come back to how set mindset is, but it's our beliefs, our attitudes, it's everything that we have that we use to make our decisions and that establishes our way of thinking and doing. And attitude is something that is dependent on your mindset rather than the other way around. And so where mindset has been used most recently is with a psychologist by the name of Carol Dweck. Now I've actually followed her quite a bit. She is quite an amazing person. She's done a lot of research and a lot of study, and she has established two kinds of mindset: a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. The fixed mindset says, I'm done. I'm as good as I'm going to be. Accept me the way I am. I've got my strengths, weaknesses, and this is me. A growth mindset says, I know who I am, but I have potential. I can continue to grow. I want to learn. I'm on a path to keep learning. And so even a mindset doesn't have to be set. Your mindset can be a growth mindset that says, I'm open to possibilities. So how that relates to our attitude is that if you have the mindset that says, things are possible, I can grow, I can learn, I can appreciate, it's going to affect your attitude to how you approach people, how you approach decisions, how you think about situations. And so that's just my opening thoughts about mindset and attitude.
Great, thanks Lee, and welcome Rob. Nice to have you on board this morning. So this morning we're just having a bit of a chat around mindset and attitude, and what are the differences? Are there differences? And the people's general thoughts about those two concepts. So Edward, let's get across to you next and see if your mind is set on any specific direction.
Yeah, I thought it was quite interesting because I hadn't realised we were talking about difference between attitude and mindset. I thought we were just talking about mindset, and I think it's interesting, isn't it? Because mindset can mean two things, couldn't it? It could be having your mind set, or having a set of things in your mind, which I think Lee's touched on. And I think in the old days, mindset was almost a singular thing. If you're an entrepreneur, you had this idea and you pursued this idea and you were set in your course of action, and you probably introduced a project methodology like perhaps Prince2. Interesting thing about Prince2, it's had two acronyms because it came from a government department, a UK government department. And I think originally it was called prompt in the CCTA environment. I'm not sure what the CCTA stood for, some sort of computing stuff. So it was a bit of a sort of tortured acronym. And then the civil servants had a competition to try and sort this out and find a new acronym. And they came up with this new acronym, PRINCE 2, which was Projects in a Controlled Environment. So don't you just love civil servants? They couldn't move away from PRINCE. So rather than have a new acronym, they had a fixed idea that that's what they wanted and that's what they were going to have. But I think now those project methodologies don't work because things continually change. And I think, Ivan, you're probably aware of the agile project methodology, which does things in small bursts because it recognizes that things change. And I think now, if you want to pursue a goal, you have to have a very fluid mindset, be able to duck and dive, dodge, whatever, because progress is happening so swiftly. And if you think about recent years, those businesses that haven't embraced the internet have tended to fail. They've stuck with their high street stores. In the UK, that's what's happened. They've stuck with their high street stores, and the internet has taken them over, and they've gone out of business. And some big names have gone out of business because they had a fixed mindset. We are on the high street. We sell on the high street. We sell from shops. That's what we're going to do. And they're no longer doing it. And in fact, that was happening before the pandemic. And then the pandemic accelerated it amazingly fast. And people with agile minds that weren't set managed to cope. Someone I know he's a mixologist. He turns up to parties and he mixes fantastic cocktails. Well, in the UK, we weren't allowed to have parties. We weren't have to have meetings. So his business model, didn't work. But he very quickly switched to actually doing pre-mixed cocktails in cans and sending them out by post. So I think, nowadays a mindset is get rid of the set, because you don't need a fixed mind. You don't need a set of capabilities. You need a whole fluid range of, so it should be mind fluid perhaps. But that's my thoughts. But bit of a ramble, because unlike usual, I didn't prepare. Normally I prepare, but you know what? I thought I'll just wing it this morning.
There you go. So thanks, Ed. Yeah, it's interesting. The question is, if you have a mind fluid, as you said, as opposed to a mindset, does it mean you're always changing your mind? And do you get anywhere if you keep on doing that? So Jasper, are you agile, or is your mindset?
Morning. This is obviously one of my favorite topics, but the spin I want to put on it is that, all of us have our mindset on something, whether it's to be fluid or to be fixed or whatever. And I think it's science and psychologists just use the fact that we are already, and I want to call it pre-programmed, and whether that programming was done consciously by ourselves to put us in a certain state of mind to achieve certain things, or whether it was almost done by chance and it's just through the exposure of our environment, parents, teachers, media, politicians, etc. The fact is we are all pre-programmed. And that then becomes our default state of mind or default state of thinking. If we then accept that the state of mind, the way of thinking, the way of operation is then a result of how you are programmed, then we can become fluid again and say, all right, now that I know I have been programmed to think like that, I can also expose myself to new programming and change that. And we've seen many examples of people who have literally done a 180 degree on how they thought before versus how they thought later on. So I think for me, the benefit of understanding mindset in terms of how your pre-programming works, it then makes it easier for interaction, make it easier for engagement. And I'm looking at the simple example of Robert Kiyosaki's 4-quadrant thing of the employer mindset, the business, the self-employed mindset, the business builder mindset, and the investor mindset. And then it's how in the same situation, it's underpinned by the values. For the employer, my value is security. Therefore, I trust my life into the hands of someone who I think will give me security. The self-employed's values would be to say, I'm my own boss. Nobody tells me what to do and how to think. The business builder's mindset is to say, how can I make money and resources multiply and work for me? So duplication mindset. And then the investor's mindset is, how can I make my money work? So that's just one way of categorizing. And I obviously then followed on with that kind of categorizing and say, our programming is either based in long-term thinking, 3-generational, or short-term thinking, quick fix, me and mine, I for now. But all these ways of, and then Leah has pointed to the fixed versus the growth mindset, and Ed talked about the set versus the fluidity. But yeah, I think we are already in a mindset. Just how many, 6 of us here on the screen already talk from a fixed mindset. And, you know, just by engaging, we quickly start to know that depending on the topic, I will probably respond from that angle. Ed will probably respond from that angle. Tabiso will respond from that angle. So it doesn't mean that now defines you forever. You can always somewhere along the line come up with a new revelation. Like in my case, I didn't know about 3-generation mindset until 2008, but it has certainly revolutionized my life and put me onto a new path. So I think within, so mindset, the word itself is maybe a dichotomy to describe the present state, but it doesn't say it's permanent. You can, by choice, change the state of your mind, and I'll leave it at that.
Great, thanks, Jasper. Right, Rob. So I think your first time with us on Wisdom's Chats. I think you've got a bit of an idea of how we're going here, just chatting around mindset and attitude. So, love to hear your thoughts on those and what you've heard so far.
Thank you very much, Ivan. Fascinating subject. I did some research, and it wasn't by listening to Yes Minister Edward at all. I believe there are 2 parts to mindset, and it's not about set mind or mindset. I think the part of my mind that is set are my values. So values along the lines of the 7 heavenly virtues, for example, which I think would be wonderful if it was adopted by governments of the world today. But I'm not a politician, so whatever. I also did, I Googled mindset to find out that there are, by definition, 7 mindsets. And the 7 mindsets are, everything is possible, passion first, we are connected, 100% accountable, attitude of gratitude, live to give, and time is now. And I think those are quite, that's a very full set. And whether if those were adopted as one's mindset, I think a lot of what one does would fall into one of those categories, and probably should fall into one of those categories. So it's not prescriptive, but it got me to read a little bit and to learn a little bit. And so if we had to say that there are those 2 levels, which I talked about very briefly at the start. So the one level is your foundation on which you built, the foundation of what you have inherited through your probably genetic and parental upbringing. And that is the platform on which we build what we do. And there's no reason why flexibility or agile or adaptability shouldn't be added to one's, I'm going to call it an operational mindset. So kind of that's a little bit of my thinking, but obviously that for me is mindset 101.
Great, thanks, thanks, Rob. Yeah, I look forward to Mindset 102 and some future discussions on that, because I agree. I think it's an absolutely fascinating subject and one I've looked into quite a bit. So, Thabiso, our philosopher, what is mindset to you, Thabiso?
I'm going to switch off my camera because I want to lower my bandwidth. My internet connection has been so horrible today. So please mind with me, okay?
Okay, I think, well, let's let the rest of us do the same thing, Thabiso. Might help as well. So if you wouldn't mind just switching your videos off for Thabiso.
Sure. For me, mindset and attitude, it was a bit difficult, because I see attitude as a byproduct of mindset, So I think that they are synonyms, so it was difficult for me to actually tear them apart, But I tried thinking of mindset in terms of, neuroscience and metaphors, because metaphors is what I do best, and at least metaphors, they do something, And what I came up with is that, mindset is synapses. It is neural pathways that fire together. It is gray and white matter, Mindset is the river streaming down a pathway where there is less resistance, It is the rain that floods a location. Mindset is continuous and it is constant. A mindset is like breathing, a force that is unconscious and yet dictates your life. A mindset is a program for your life, Okay, maybe not a program. A mindset is the operating system that constructs what you see on your map of experience. I think that mindset is everything. A mindset is your past. Your mindset is the repressed things in your psyche. Your mindset is actually your shadow. It is your present. It is your future. I think that mindset is something that is set, a mindset is set in stone like a statue. Of course, yes, you can break it down, and erect another statue, but you need to create new habits that lead to a new life, So you can change your mindset. It is possible, but you have to change your way of engaging with the world. You have to change your thoughts. You have to change your actions. You have to change everything about you, And to actually do that, you need to incorporate a new attitude, A mindset is actually your subconscious desires. A mindset is your aspirations and dreams. A mindset is just never giving up, A mindset is determination and motivation. I think that a mindset is life, Like I said, an operating system. A mindset is everything because all is mind, A mindset is how you go about things. A mindset is who you are to the core. A mindset is destiny. It's destiny. I think that, you need to have a good mindset, so that you can attract the things that you actually want to do, because a mindset, it is what actually gets you to do stuff, mindset is a frequency, it is a way, a mindset is a frequency, it is a paradigm, it is a way of operating, a mindset is just the mind, I think that that's just my contribution on today's topic. So thank you, Ivan.
Right, thanks so much, Thabiso. Yeah, as I said, it's a topic that has fascinated me for a very long time as well, and I think you know, we've touched on certainly on elements that go to build that, and you know, I'm glad Rob brought values in, and you know, we spoke about values and habits and other elements associated with it in many of our wisdom's chats, I suppose. So yeah, the real question is, for me, is have people truly identified their values? And I think that's where the opportunity and the problem starts, because I think many people haven't consciously actually identified what their real values are. And if you haven't done that, then you're going to be in a sort of shifting sands of a fluid mindset, Ed. So I think there's the challenge, because and I think that's where, unfortunately, many people and our politicians are often prime examples of this. They have situational ethics and situational morals, so they react to the way they think is going to get them the most benefit, and that's definitely not, in my opinion, value based. I suppose they might have the value of trying to please the crowd, you know, and maybe that's a value. Maybe it's just an opportunity to take advantage. I don't know, but I think true values do need to be well defined and almost cast in stone. You know, yes, they can change with time and situation, but they shouldn't change on the whim of a moment. You know, I mean, if you have a value of honesty, you know, that should be the value, and it shouldn't change. You know, if you have a value of love or integrity or you know, those sorts of things, those shouldn't change. Those should be mindset. They should be set in your mind, and they should be clear, and they should be something that you fundamentally act upon without having to think, because you have made those clear and in your own mind, and it's the way you operate. And I think that's the key for me with mindset. It actually becomes visible by the way you operate. And if you look at people, you can see the way they operate, the way they behave, the way they react to situations, the way they expect responses and reactions in situations is a clear indicator of mindset to me. And yes, it is formed, you know, I'm not sure about genetically, Rob, but certainly it's formed in the environment with which you grow up, in which you're educated, in which you work. You know, and I know, Rob, you've spoken about many times the ethos and the mindset that you have in your businesses and so on, and I think that is, you know, that is an environment which can actually culture and create really good mindsets. You know, if you get that right, people start to buy into it because they can see the way it works, and I think that's, you know, that's a very strong component of developing mindsets for me is those foundations of values, and you can develop everything else from there. But how do you start with that, I think, is the real question. And I think the key for me is to become curious. So if you start looking at things, you know, with some level of curiosity, then you gain some interest, and you do a bit of research, you gain some knowledge, and then you start to actually work through that process and start to apply those sort of elements that you've developed. But it starts with that mindset of curiosity, that attitude of curiosity. Is there a difference? I'm not sure. But anyway, so Trevor managed to switch his power back on. You joined us at the 11th hour, Trevor. So I know you haven't had the benefit of listening into the previous conversations, but I can see you busy typing away there. But maybe you'd like to add in your thoughts on mindset and attitude. Is there a difference? Isn't there a difference? What are they? He doesn't know. He can't find the unmute button.
Right. Jeez, I've got to get my mindset right. So I don't know what route you went down, but I remember that this came up with is mindset attitude, or is attitude mindset. So I suppose what I'm trying to think through, and obviously, you know, I'm not as well prepared as I normally am because I've been load shed out the whole morning. Otherwise, I would have put in a couple of hours of extra homework on this. So Ed knows that I do a ton of research on these topics. So I'm wondering, is attitude a subset of mindset, or is mindset a subset of attitude? I wonder what it is. I think they're very different. So I don't know the directions that you guys went. So let me see if I can argue out why I believe they're very different. Because whether you have a great attitude or a poor attitude, your mindset is how you've set your mind to actually respond to the way life and events, etc., actually happen to you. And I mean, we're all affected by external events. Now, here this morning, I normally get up early every morning to get stuff done, but I couldn't this morning. So all the plans I had for this morning, up until this time that I've been able to switch on, that were around my laptop, were completely shattered. So as a result of that, I put my pajamas back on, and I just came into the study. But what I've been doing, here's my mindset. I could have raged about it, but in actual fact, I turned around and said, hey, you know what? This is like actually being around a dam. Just unfortunately, I can't get my trout rod out and go fishing. So what I decided to do was to move everything around the study, because I've been doing alterations and renovations in various rooms. And as you move a couple of hundred, maybe a couple of thousand books around, these things start piling up all over the place. So I've just spent a couple of hours actually reorganizing and getting everything back to the way it should be. So it was a gift. The load shedding was an actual gift, because it gave me the time to do something that I perhaps wouldn't have found the time to go and do. Otherwise, I would have had my nose into the laptop and working on delivering a couple of things that I wanted to do. So what is the mind? Attitude, number one. So what's attitude? Well, you've got to have a great attitude. And that is, for me, a positive attitude. And once you have that, you can slip your mindset into gear. So it's those gears. Some people just have their mindsets, I don't know. Last night I was actually watching Trump, and CNN obviously have a full go at Trump, and Trump has a full go at CNN. So it was very interesting to see what happens there. And quite clearly they indicate that this guy is some sort of psychological case that we've all got to follow. You could see how his mind was set going into the presidency, and how he never deviated from what he wanted to do with his particular mindset. Was it a great attitude? He thinks he's got the greatest attitude in the world. That's why he became president. And he said, well, all the other guys with the same attitude have actually voted for me, so I must be right. But the first thing I ever noticed about Trump, and I must say, when he first came on board, I actually enjoyed him coming on board, because I wanted him to shake up all these blooming politicians and just expose how bad they were. But what he did is he magnified just how an individual with the wrong attitude, to me, and completely the wrong mindset, actually distorted even more and magnified 20x how to actually rip off the people by getting into these high level positions, and making decisions that were really only in it for him and not for the people that he purported to actually stand up and represent. Now, half of America is going to throw brickbats at me. And then I'm going to question their attitudes and how it's affected their mindset. So I don't know what guys we're talking about down the road here, but I suppose I better stop there before I get myself into any more trouble.
Trevor, why would you ever do that? You're always in trouble. Doesn't make any difference which way you go. All right, great, thanks. Good, well, that's taken us to the bottom of the hour, so I don't know if there's any final thoughts or quick comments, but otherwise let's look for a topic for Monday morning.
Well, I do have a topic in mind based on the various bits and pieces that we've spoken about. Jesper spoke about pre-programming, and Thabisa spoke about operation system. Edward spoke about fluidity and agility, and so I wonder if we can talk about on Monday, how do we change our mind? What does it take for us to change our mind? So let's talk about that on Monday. What does it take for us to change our mind? Edward.
Yes, Ed.
Yeah, I think that's a great topic, because when Ivan was speaking, he was talking about values, and they don't change or shouldn't change on a whim, I think he said. I was thinking, well, what values do we change? Because we used to think as women as chattels, and we kind of slightly improved since then. So yeah, I think how do we change our mind would be a great subject, and particularly, not on the surface level about whether I have jam or marmalade for tea, but whether my values change, if I could put that spin on it.
Great, thanks, Ed.
Ed, before he disappears, he's got to give me a dictionary definition of chattel, please, because it's just not in my lexicon at all. What's a dictionary definition of chattel?
Well,
It's a belonging.
It's what we do every morning here in Wisdoms. We chattel backwards and forwards. So.
No. A chattel is a belonging.
Okay.
So your wife belonged to you.
Oi, gee.
And I thought it was just a woman's prerogative to change her mind. So yeah, we're
getting in deep water here.
We're getting into trouble here. Okay.
Let's not go down this route.
Yes, boss. Yes, boss. Okay, good. Okay, guys. Thanks everyone for a fantastic chattel this morning, and join us at 9 o'clock if you can on the chamber, and at 11 o'clock if you can on YP. But otherwise, have a great weekend, and we'll see you Monday morning. Go well. Cheers now.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.